Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via in-person and remote means. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting in person or virtually. The meeting may be accessed remotely via contact provided below, which is the Zoom call. When required by law or allowed by the chairs, people wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so in person or remotely. Additionally, this meeting may be broadcast later via town YouTube channel and Topsfield Cable Television. Topsfield Cable Television is on and is recording. Welcome, everybody, to our lovely meeting. I appreciate Michael's help in getting us all set up. Thank you, allowing me to do it from remote. Since I am remote, it does mean that if we have any votes, although currently we don't have any scheduled, if we did, even the one important one at the end, the most important one at the end, we do have to do a roll call vote. Initially, Masco and elementary school were scheduled to attend today, or Masco was, and elementary was, and we were hoping that Masco would as well. Neither are able to. So we have pushed elementary school off to next week. Catherine, do we have confirmation they are coming? Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yep. And
okay, because Masco's coming too, but they need to be at 6.
Okay.
And elementary might not even need to come next week. It depends how much progress we make.
Okay.
Because I think the remaining thing for them to talk about is the additional Chapter 70.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll still have that conversation about the Chapter 70 money and explain that. So other than that, what I had on the agenda was review the model and review any warrant articles if need be, and to walk through them. Also, I do have an update on Masco. There was a meeting of the chairs of the select board, chairs of the finance committees, town administrators, specifically about capital. So there'll be an update that I'll give about that, and then we can get into a conversation. I think it's important we have a conversation about Masco, about lay out the 4 things that they're looking to do. And then we can, so that when they come in on next week, we can kind of give them some guidelines and guidance on where we are and where we're thinking. Beyond those things, Michael suggested, and I think it's a great idea, that we walk through both the calendar and kind of the timeline for the next 4 weeks and what we're kind of expected to do, and give a little bit of context around it tonight. So what does it mean to vote? How do we vote through this stuff? What are we doing? And how do we go over that and identify everything, recognizing that 4 weeks from today is kind of too late. So we have this meeting, the 2nd, the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. And the 30th is really just to wrap things up. We really need to be done, because actually I think print is right then. And that would include the letter. So we'll go over what needs to be done. Is there anything else? So again, I'll go over that. Review the meeting minutes. I'll go over the schedule for March. Conversation about the elementary school in Chapter 70. Conversation about Masco and their 4 asks is how I'm going to phrase it. A reminder that you all have overwhelmed me with volunteering for the Financial Policies Committee. I can't believe the crickets that I've heard. So anyway, I'll remind you of that, and then someone this week is going to get a phone call. And so we'll go from there on that. Anything else anyone else wants to talk about? I would like to add in.
I don't know about planning board.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, so Martha has been in touch with me, and I know she shared with you and you shared with the committee about the work that the planning board and zoning board does with the administrative help that they currently had. Lynn Bermuda's resigned on February 19th, and so they are without support until someone else takes over for even the bare minimum administrative stuff. I met with Kevin this morning, and I reviewed some of the tasks that back in 2023, Lynn Bermudez provided me with a list of all the tasks that she's been doing since then. And so I said, after all our discussion, I said, Kevin, let's go through this list and show me whether any of these tasks would be, if we had a planner, would be assumed by the planner as opposed to the administrative work that to support the boards in that person's administrative duties. And so we did that. I just sent to you, I took a spreadsheet and I just X'd off the things that we talked about that would be planning activities. I didn't share it with everybody because I wanted to see whether it was something we would do tonight.
Okay.
So obviously the concern for Martha and Bob is that they get the support that they need. And I think we need to understand the opportunities for whether a planner would make the support better and not just continue as has been done in the past. So there's a lot going on, the concern about getting the support, those responsibilities to the appropriate people.
Okay.
So, share that.
Could someone summarize in like 5 sentences or less the like real issue or problem here? I've been struggling to follow the thread from last week's meeting to the emails this week of like,
Sure.
what is sort of the underlying.
Okay, I'll give you my version of it. And then-
Happy to get anybody's version.
Okay, there was a person whose job was purchasing and supporting these 2 boards.
Yep.
The amount of time that he or she had done that was somewhere between 5 hours and 19 hours a week, depending who you ask. Okay, when that person retired, another person went in there and that 19 hours a week was taken out of the job description, allocated somewhere else. And since then, there's been a part-time person handling it that fell to Lynn Bermudez, and the hours started out at lower numbers and they've kind of been incrementally getting bigger. And then recently, I don't know why Lynn quit, or she quit maybe for whatever reason. And so now that's the opening that we have there.
And the question is whether or not it's appropriate to fill it, or who's filling it, or what the hours are.
So then the other one is consistently, again, this is my version of the other comments, but the planning board.
Yes. So before you do, let's just say I think that was a pretty fair, balanced statement of what happened in terms of it just being there was the position was there. It was determined that for whatever reason, let me use an example. We used to have a meeting notes taker position for FinCom. We don't anymore, right? So sometimes things change. I'm not trying to say right or wrong, but ultimately that was pretty balanced. Now, is there anybody who has, from just the facts perspective, before we get into any sort of further, Mike has some very balanced and reasonable statements, but I want to make sure that everyone kind of accepts that what was said there.
I just have one view into it.
Yeah.
So the request came from the select board in version 2,
Yeah.
right? Version 1 to version 2.
Mhm.
Select board's
Yeah.
not here tonight, they're preparing for their meeting in a little while, so I'll do my best to maybe just give a quick, as balanced as I can, synopsis of sort of the history on it. There's the administrative components of supporting the boards, and then there's the department planning and zoning that we've never had. It hasn't existed. And there's been some really talented people on those boards that have been really helpful in allowing us to get. But if you look at our conservation department, if you look at our board of health, they have 59 hours for each of them. Full-time department head and a half-time admin. Full-time department head and half-time admin. Those boards are no better or worse than the planning and zoning. They handle very similar things. But there's a full-time person on staff that supports it. What the select board recommended after hearing the request from the planning and zoning department head, board head, was to create a halftime grade 7-ish position. Call it whatever you want to call it, planner, technical expert, subject matter. But that position, and Heidi and I had a long conversation what that position would do. I didn't bring the presentation up with me, but I do have an updated presentation and a job description to accompany it. I'm literally just waiting for confirmation on a couple more comp communities of what they have for support. The vast majority of like-sized communities, it's smaller and bigger, have at least a planner of some sort, land use person that's on staff, just like a conservation agent or board of health director. And so from every year I've been here, some years we've asked and put it in, some years we've just acknowledged that there's a need. This year, after hearing the department heads come to myself and then to the select board and advocate for that 19-hour position, instead of going for a full-time planner, we went for that position that they asked for, but maintain the 15-hour position, because there is value when you look at some of the administrative components the job needs. 8 or 9 of those hours, maybe 10 hours a week, would go towards supporting the boards. The additional hours would support the planner, the halftime planner that's coming on. And then the planner would overlap a little bit with those boards and committees to offer technical support, whether it's handling new state regulations that come through, helping us put our bylaws on the website to be accessed by searchable versus by PDF, to helping us implement a master plan, which we spent a lot of time and money, both political capital with the residents to implement, but we don't have the people to actually do it. And so, the time seemed like it was appropriate. Select board had a lot of very thoughtful conversations before moving it forward. It wasn't automatic. There was everything from don't do anything all the way up to a full-time planner, but they really tried to listen to the board chairs and deliver something that met their needs, but also did it in a way that didn't jump all the way to the conclusion, a full-time person to meet those other 2 departments I mentioned earlier. I know Boxford hiring a full-time planner, Boxford, doing 40-hour position. A lot of communities and the comps that I'll share with you when my presentation's ready in the next week or so will show what those comp communities have for resources. And I think
so interrupting a bit, that's advocating for the thing. The past history, though, I mean, that's okay, move towards a planner, which is a justification. Right now, though, the question that I just want to focus on is was to now, and what's, and what you're talking about, I think, is the proposed solution that you guys are coming forward with to meet the needs of the work that planning and
sorry. So my comments were to give it relativity. If it felt leaning a little bit, it's coming from the select board. I work for.
Yeah. No, and it's not and I'm not looking for. So the history of it was, there had been someone who'd been doing part-time in zoning and planning and part-time is procurement, or full-time in zoning and procurement and part-time in zoning and planning. Let's face it, she was working a lot. When she retired, part-time was done for this one position. Lesser hour, it's perceived by the zoning and planning that boards lesser hours than they had before. They're saying that they're being but that was years ago that happened. It wasn't a year or 2, 3 years ago. And so now they're continuing to say what they've been saying, which is that they need their hours back. That's what they're saying. And so to that end, then now we're in this place of, okay. And that's where the question that had been asked that then last week was, okay, what's not getting done? Right? The hours got shut, and that's where they're saying their organization is down, organizational abilities are down. You all saw the letter today, where it was kind of Martha answering that question. Content-wise, so then it becomes now, I think, Kevin, to you, this is where we go back to, once we have that context, going back to what you're saying is, I think what you're saying is you think that if I can put it, this town planner position is or is not going to cover the needs, in addition, as part of their duties and responsibilities, is or is not going to cover the needs that zoning and planning have said that they are not getting filled yet right now.
So part of those work the planner will do, and how you you mentioned at the top, we went over sort of Lynn's action from a couple of years ago, what she does. We went line by line and we said
Yeah.
plan, admin, planner plus admin.
Okay.
And all that. And I think that it was probably pretty split. What she's doing is probably planner or higher level. I don't even want to call it planner. Grade 7 or so
Right.
type work versus a grade 5 minute taker admin support, which is the minimum what the board should have. They should have both. So
So you're
So,
also.
so I've since this is the spreadsheet you're talking about. Heidi literally just sent it to me.
I just
So, and it's not that we're going to solve this today. I just want to make sure we have the context so all the committee members can get this data and then understand a little bit about what's going on. So what you're saying here is that these are the things that,
So that whole list on the left is everything that's in the document that Lynn had given me in 2023.
okay,
All I did is with Kevin today, we went through and said, is this a planning thing? Is this an admin thing?
got it.
And so the big X's are planner, or admin. The little X's
Yeah.
are a little bit of both, and
Yeah.
then blacked out the stuff that would be one position or the other,
Okay,
just to say that. So it's
okay.
clear.
And then,
That was, I didn't make sure, but.
I'm sure it's pretty, if
It's
it's not
close
100%
enough.
accurate, it's pretty close.
yeah. I mean,
And
yeah,
there's sometimes going to be an overlap is initially, then it has to go through some technical. So there's going to be some overlap, but I think we went through it at, closely enough to identify. And also after looking at the presentation, the preliminary presentation, you can see that there are things that would definitely be planning and not admin.
okay. All right. So we're not voting anything today, not that there is anything or anything, but we're coming close, like we're in the next couple of weeks. So
One other thing though, Kevin, you had said, you're reusing the funds, you're not adding funds, like a new.
Reappropriated existing base budget items so that we could cut additional costs. So there was some savings within the planning department already. And then in addition to that, other locations, we made some modifications and reductions in order to cut costs. It was important that we were able to do it within our means. It's not a full-time planner with benefits, it's a half-time planner, so about 30,000-ish, and then we were find that within our operating budget.
So this is kind of what they're looking at. No one here is going to be able to ask. I'm not going to ask anyone to ask questions because they're just getting this information. The questions I'd like right now would be what info, and even this isn't fair. What information don't you have, or what information do you need so that when we do dig into this next week or the following week, you come in, everyone on the FinCom comes in feeling prepared.
Mr. Chair, if I could just say, I will have that presentation if you're looking next week to have the dialogue before the weekend, so I can send that out. And like I said, we're looking at ops. I'll have that presentation just so you have a better understanding of what the.
That's perfect. That's great.
And the job description, the one that was worked on 5 years ago, current chair of the planning board and I worked on together, that I'll share with everybody. I looked at it. I made a couple grammatical changes, but the job still holds up.
Okay. Anybody have anything else that they're need?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, just one, is the current position going to be downgraded to an administrative position? Because as you said, right now, in your read, the functions, it's much more than an administrator.
So it's been operating probably at a grade somewhere, some of the work's been grade 5 work, admin, and some of the work's probably been grade 6 or 7 or higher. And that's because the current person, or the person last in the role, was, I think, doing admirable work trying to fill the gap of not having a planner. And so those things that Heidi listed as Ps, by default, she was doing the best she could to try to fill that, but at a lower rate. And so to answer the question, the adjustment was to adjust the hours at 15, not the 19 that they originally asked for. So we got some savings there.
Level 7 or?
And then the position would go up to the 7, which is what they originally asked for when we sat with them. They said we need a 19 hours grade 7, which is what we put in the budget. We just didn't take the 15-hour. We brought that back down to 15 for the admin to be able to provide that administrative support as well.
When I read Martha's summary of the functions. I looked at it and one of my reactions was some pretty important functions. You know,
Okay.
some potential liability if we're not careful here.
So that, good. So that's what we'll be covering next week with that stuff.
Okay,
All I'm looking for is right now is just make sure, because it's complex and it's got a lot of history, making sure people have enough knowledge today, David, so that, or we can speak to what do we still need so everyone can dig into it next week. All right. Okay. So yeah, and what you're saying is valid, David. I'm sorry. I just want
no, that's all right.
to,
You know, when I think admin, I think more of a note taker functional like that. And I looked at some of these. I said, whoops,
yeah,
they have to be done right.
yeah.
Or reliable. That was my reaction.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to minimize that. So that was this. That was planning notes and zoning board. I think we got enough there between that we can take it as a topic going forward, and we have the data to have further. Was there anything else anyone wanted to cover other than, as I said, review the meeting minutes, review our schedule for March, including the process of how we get from here to town meeting, elementary and Masco? Was there anything else anyone wanted to cover?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss free cash strategy. Particularly since we have a $1.1 million one-time, hit this year. What's the best way to use it? What's the most prudent?
Okay. Okay. Anybody have anything else? All right. It's all part of current topics. All right. So I'm going to, just to get it out of the way and keep us moving forward, I'm going to pull up the meeting minutes, and if we could just do those quickly. We have the meeting minutes from February 23rd. As always, well written, detailed in what we covered, and we covered quite a bit for what the meeting was. But anybody have any first motion?
We got the date.
23rd.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 23rd.
Okay, we have a first. Cool.
Second.
Oh, we have a second. Is there any corrections, dialogue, conversation,
I
anything?
have a question, since I wasn't there, what time was it called to order? Was it called to adjourn? I said
Just past 8.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, that's enough.
that was really close.
That was close.
I thought
Yeah.
we weren't. For some reason. I was like, how did you know?
We were trying to be, I was trying for us to be done by 8, and we're a couple minutes past.
All right, so I'm
That's
just gonna
fair.
leave, so it's
good enough.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, these were difficult to write because of that history,
Yeah,
and so it was difficult to, there's a lot of history, there was some conflicting history, so if everybody read them and is okay with it, then that's all I have to say.
no, I felt they were well written. I think they covered everything I remembered.
I had one comment, Jay. I found the pension presentation excellent.
Yeah,
Very informative. You know, it was at a high encompassing level, so you could really get a feeling for the whole thing.
yeah.
I walked away understanding that 6.5% increase, that's going to be the norm going forward.
Plus any, 6.5% plus or minus any, plus
Right.
any material underperformance of the funds. Right. So they're making an assumption of, I think it was 7% they said return. If that underperforms, they have to immediately take that 6.5% up. If it overperforms, they're just going to finish earlier, is what I took away from it. Is that what you guys understood?
Yeah. I don't know, Jay, can we get a similar type of overview on the health insurance or OPEB in particular?
OPEB? I think let's ask. We can ask.
You know,
I think that
There's a report with OPEB that we can redistribute that's, I don't know if it's still current, but that's the numbers we're still using.
Yeah, so we have, years we have the actuaries,
Yeah.
that look at our OPEB, and we're doing it again. We're putting money in the warrant this year in one of the consent agenda items that allows for $9,000 to be able to do the next,
Yeah.
every other year, so. It's-
Parker Elmore or whatever.
Parker's our rep
Yeah.
from our company we work with. At the very least, I know Ken and Morgan talked about some of the OPEB, and we do have that actuary report that we could.
I mean, these are almost fixed liabilities for us, so
Yeah.
it's very informative. I found the pension, boom, was obvious. Especially understanding that 80% of it is to pay unfunded liabilities, not the ongoing.
Right.
My God.
Yeah.
I'll talk with Morgan tomorrow morning at our finance team meeting. At the very least, like I said, we'll distribute the last report, and then maybe we can find out if there's
Yeah.
additional resources that are available.
Okay. Anything else on the meeting minutes? So then I have to do a roll call vote. Starting with Mike Hartman.
Yes.
Aye. That works. David,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
and Che. Aye. Okay, so those have been approved. I'll just close that, and Heidi can run that off. That is Middleton note. I'll talk to you later about. All right, so so let's look at the schedule for the rest of the month, if that's okay, and talk it through. Bring it over onto there. Elementary, and now Masco. So March 30th is our last meeting, as we mentioned. That week is go live, is when the warrant has to go to the printer. So we're going to start from that and work a bit forward and a bit backwards. In that warrant is all of our recommendations. It is permissible and has occasionally happened, but we try not to, that we say that the Finance Committee's recommendation is pending. If and when there does occur, it's because it's not on one of the major initiatives or things. It's because there might be something like a zoning or a proposal or something that still has some information missing from their vote or something like that. In general, everything has to be, we have to provide a recommendation for every one of the warrants articles. Not in general, we have to provide for everyone. Because the town meeting votes on to support they don't vote to approve or disapprove the warrant. They vote to agree with the Finance Committee or disagree with the Finance Committee. And so, for example, if we recommend no action on something, they have to say, no, we disagree if they want to support it. So if we had a warrant that we didn't have a recommendation on, they wouldn't be able to vote on it because they'd be voting again, So every warrant article out there, we have to put it, including the citizens' petitions or anything else, we have to put a recommendation to. We also have to write the Finance Committee letter. And we generally do that in that last meeting. It started on the 23rd, and I'll do a draft coming in the 23rd. And on the 30th, we stay and we finish writing that letter in that meeting. And so that'll be part of what we do here. Ideally, we try and get it done on the 23rd, but we have until the 30th if we have to. Okay. Questions?
Yeah, last year, Jay, obviously we didn't have much time, we wanted to make some changes to graphs and
Yes.
things like that, but we just didn't have time. If we can schedule to make sure we have at least one meeting to give that input.
Okay.
So
let's look. Yeah. So let's look at that. So probably what are we really saying? Well, today would have been the right day to do it. Too bad. Now that since this became empty,
True.
but so we've got elementary and Masco next week.
Does elementary have something cooking, or are they done?
So there's one thing we'll come to in a minute. There is extra Chapter 70 money coming, a little bit more than anticipated. And the thing is, they're asking that money get transferred through the town back to them. And so that's part of what they've got. That's the only thing they have that they want us all to discuss and our thoughts on that. And that's on our agenda right after we finish this. Other than that, they appear to be, Catherine, unless anything's changed, they're still moving forward with meeting guidelines.
Correct.
Right. So we'll see. So we're looking for some place in here. So I'll look at this and I'll add into 16th or 9th or 16th. Review or FinCom letter.
And can you send out a draft of that ahead of time, Shay?
Yep. So I'll send out last year's. I mean, I'm not going to and maybe if I have some time, I'll change some things just to try and make it relative to today. But then that's where we can, start from that base and mark it up.
Jay, right after the annual town meeting, I took notes from a lot of people's input as to how we could improve that letter. And I just summarized them. I don't know whether you want me to distribute them or.
Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, go ahead and distribute them to everybody.
Okay.
Reminder, everyone, that's for us to discuss at the meeting, not in the email. So when David distributes them, say thank you, and anything else other than that would be breaking open meeting law. So just so take them in. We will bring them forward and have that discussion next. We're going to try for the 9th, but Masco and elementary school need to be the priority, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot easier this year. I think we have a pretty good framework for that now.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
And then,
It's good.
nice. So elementary and Masco possibly review the FinCom letter format here. Going back to the 30th. So that would give us, that's the week where we have to have, that meeting can ultimately become a finalized formal, yes, we bless everything, everything's done, already done, and that's about what it can be, and or finalize the letter. But the votes need to be done. Finalize letter. In here, there are two things that are missing that I want to put in. One, the 17th, which is a Tuesday. There is administration. So the town administrator is having an open house, budget open house. We are not, I'm afraid, we are not required to attend, but I'll be there. And if anyone else, you're welcome to attend. Hopefully it'll be unlike other times where and then, so to be clear, and then what happens is usually the Tuesday before May 5th, but I'm not sure when yet. Jamie I haven't spoken with her yet about it. And Kevin, I don't know if you have, about doing what they call the moderators forum.
I have not, but I know we have that date, and months ago.
Yeah.
The moderator, but I know she's got a lot of things on her plate right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I can also offer to, assist however we need to do it. When it first happened, the moderators forum was actually run by she ran it, but we prepped everything, or not she, the previous person, not he, they, they ran it, but they really relied on the FinCom to get up and present on each topic. So we'll see what she wants us to do. So that is usually around April 28th.
Quick question, Shay, on the May 17th budget open
March.
house,
March.
17th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to figure out who's going? Because will we be considered having? a meeting?
I'll just post that
Okay,
I'll just post a possible meeting just to participate in this. And then if you show up, it's early too. It's like 5:30 to 6:30. So it may not work for people. And that's fine. I mean, this is not our meeting. This is Kevin laying out his budget, right? And or Kevin, the select board, they're laying out their budget. I just think it's important for at least some of us to be involved, to participate, to show our support for the whole process.
Appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, you're all obviously more than welcome to come. Hope you can. If you can't, in these meetings or one-on-one, we'll set up more times to talk about the budget. As much time you need with it and with myself and my team, we'll make it happen.
Well, you get
And I will bring cookies to the open house.
All right, that changes thing.
Like, coming, Tom.
Just put it on my calendar.
Now we have a quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for both of those, I'm just going to put a note in here, say to agenda set and meeting announce meeting.
Want to review like the vote tracker recommendations that FinCom has been.
Yes, good point. So I'm going to try this week because I'm in Florida and I've got a little bit of free time to put the vote tracker together. What the vote tracker is, and then the other thing will be, so actually we got to put that on for next week. Warrant assignment. Okay. What the vote tracker is that for each of the warrants, we put together a brief one-pager. And by we, I mean whichever person has been assigned to that warrant, explaining in as fact-based as possible with nothing else, what are we deliberated, what we considered, and what we came up with as a recommendation, what the numbers were. Was it 7-0, 6-1, 5-3, 5-2, for each one, so that it's out there and it becomes the historical review of what we did. Or assignments. And that means, and that one can be written, that doesn't have to be done by the 30th. That we could have a meeting the following week, the 5th, to vote to approve those, right? That's something that then just gets posted to our website and that we then can point people to on social media, in any meetings, in any announcements that the town has as to where this information resides.
That's a good idea, Che. On the 5th,
Yeah.
review them, but also have a written strategy as to how we're going to get people aware of and interest coming to it, both.
Yes. This year we will have to, or it's the 6th, so April 6th. 3rd, that makes sense, because 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. April 6th. Review warrant trackers and explanations. So from our voting, what we have to go through right now being the next 4 weeks, is finalize the towns and vote positive or no or action on the town's budgets, on the elementary schools budgets, on Masco's budget, on the Essex Tech's budget. And then also start reviewing and going over the warrants. So potentially a lot to do, but I will work this week to get them organized and out there. Kevin, one question, the warrant itself,
Yes.
how locked down would you say it is? It's 80, 50, 75, 90. I know it's not 100. Pick one of those three numbers.
Yeah.
Just pick. I'm just estimate. So
I would say that there's 3 articles I'm waiting for language from KP that are in there that will be in there. The pension stabilization is coming out. We found out, I'm just very brief because I know Chair said he was mentioning it last week, that there's going to be some miscellaneous capital potentially coming from Masco. Very late. Free cash has been spoken for the most part, but we'll see what they have. And if that comes in, it'll be substituting the article that where the pension stabilization would be created. So that one will be subbing out in the next version.
Yeah.
We met last Wednesday. We got some small tweaks to language, nothing dramatic. That version will be in the next version, this version 6 that comes out. Hopefully by the end of this week, you'll have another version.
When that version comes out this week, could you mark the ones in that you think are fairly locked down? So maybe we can at least get them off our plate next week if we have some free time. So if you can send it out with either something that's highlighted, either highlight the ones that are not marked down or highlight the ones that are, whatever it is, that are marked down, that you think are materially done. I mean, ultimately, we're supposed to wait for the select board to approve them, but at least we can go through and say we are likely to support this one or not, right? So that we know then where we stand with them.
I would say that after this next version, I send out anything that's rule of thumb. If it's marked in yellow, there's still work to be done. If it's clean, it's pretty much there.
Okay.
That's your best bet. There could be some tweaks later on in like some of the italicized language, or maybe dollar amount changes slightly, but that's sort of rule of thumb as you're reviewing it. And I think the next version, those numbers will be locked in to 99%, 95%.
Okay. So my feedback based on what I'm hearing here, guys, 9th and 16th and 23rd are going to be full meetings. No surprise. I mean, this is just our deep time. We've done a pretty good job of finishing our meetings in a couple of hours. Don't expect that for the next 3. Unfortunately, we've got to get through this, right? All right. So Tom, Michael, you were asking about this. In general, we go through as I said, we go through each of the warrant articles and we follow that through. Article 2nd is just transfers of money between accounts to help set up the offset. Article 3rd is the town's budget and the elementary school's budget. 4th and 5th are the Masco budgets. No, I'm sorry, water is 4th, right? Water is 4th. 5th and 6th are the Masco budgets. Masco and Essex Tech. Thank you. And then after that, we get into the warrant articles that are either generally free cash, non-financial, capital, debt exclusion, and then our policy-based items. And in general, that's the way they flow through, is generally. Next week, we will rough draft out a warrant assignments, and they're pretty much aligned with who's the presenter of the warrant assignment. Means you're the one that's going to write the letter, the explanation and the description for the budget, the warrant tracker, and then the historical why we voted a certain way or not. And you're the one that's going to present that warrant article at town meeting. We'll ignore for now the fact that there's a lot of these you will do all this work and then probably not have to do or say anything because they'll be part of a consent agenda. But that'll be part of how that works. So then next week we'll get elementary and Masco elementary if they need to come in, and then Masco will certainly want to come in, and then from there they are committed to the 11th having their, or so far they're still committed to trying to finalize their budget on the 11th so that we can have it for the 16th, which then allows us the 2 weeks, so technically the 23rd, to finalize everything and vote them that we haven't voted on the 16th, and to do a draft of the FinCom letter, with the 30th being finalize the letter.
So are we confirming Masco at 6 so I can let her know?
Yes, yes. Yep. Does that work for everyone? Michael, if you have any other questions or anyone else does, I may be able to remember and answer them down the road. Every year you forget, there's something that gets forgotten, but less and less, hopefully.
Jay,
go ahead.
the planning board has the public hearing on March 18th. So
Okay.
Those warrant articles the following week.
Yes. Yep. That's not unusual.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Elementary school. I mean, anything else on this before we move forward?
Yeah, the last version of the warrant.
Yeah.
Article 3 was significantly reworded. It was much, much clearer to me. It was obvious there was significant effort in that.
Okay.
I read Article 5 with Masco though, and I find it's okay.
Yeah.
Some work. I think once they,
Just,
once we get, there has been very little conversations.
Yeah.
I think in formal settings and
Okay.
informal, we had that conversation last Thursday, which was helpful, and I think hopefully they start getting through their process and we can start.
yeah, because Article 3, you can understand it. Where Article 5 last year was last moment, and it was like, it may be illegal, but it was, my God.
Support,
What am I
not,
reading, you know?
not support the first one, not support the, then what do you
Right.
do if you want to overturn the non-support?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
a lot of it, the language that we use for Article 5, 3-2, but I'm thinking 5 in this scenario will be determined on whether there's support from the finance committee. They're the last budget to come through the door, but really for that, there's a lot of work we have to do. So as soon as it comes in, I'm assuming, Mr. Chair, that you and your committee will be doing some good work quickly to let us know support, no support, once we see what they have. It's
Right.
a lot.
Right. Well, I think going into, I think on the Masco side, I think it's important. There are some things that we're going to discuss in a few minutes and our perspective, so we can put it together so we can communicate with Masco our reps to Masco next week. Because there's some significant asks that they've got across their approach and how they're doing things and what they're doing. So we need to go in. I'm glad they're coming on before their final vote so they can communicate our thoughts and whatever that may have for a impact. At least we were heard.
And all 3 are coming. She just said.
Yes. Good.
Girls coming as well.
Okay. Anything else before we jump into elementary?
Just one thing, Jay. Aside from the schools, do we have to review any other department budgets at all? Because I don't know.
So
if
it's the overall town budget at this point. We went through each department's budget, I think. I'm pretty sure we got all the major ones.
Yes.
I know we didn't. I know we didn't do town accountant and the building office. I don't think we touched on.
An assessor.
And
The assessor. The assessor didn't have, correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about it for about half a minute. They didn't have anything in the assessors.
Yeah, I don't think the building office really had that much either when I was talking about it with Amanda.
Yeah.
So, all right. Just want to make sure we didn't need to do a formal vote or anything, so.
Well, we will go through and discuss them as a budget. And we will do a formal vote, but it's a formal vote of the town budget.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, we can step it however we want. In past years, a long time ago, we would approve department budgets. That didn't count. All it did was, by that, the point is that at the end of the day, all we really can approve or not approve is the article.
Right.
Or not approve. All we can recommend or not recommend is the article.
Mm-hmm.
This was just a way to get to this stepped result.
Yep, understood.
Right. So it's to step through to get to the, okay, are we ready to approve or disapprove? And I think there's some of these things, there probably are, you know what, actually, we've reviewed them before we go any further, and this could be could be getting us into a deep old hole here by saying this, but let me ask, are there any budgets that we think we should, department level, that we want to revisit that are causing any of you angst or concern or questions but that would result in you evaluating the overall town's budget, right? Think of this as a consent agenda on the individual departments. What departments do we want to pull out of a consent agenda?
I thought without a tab for over guideline, Che, I thought we were gonna go through the omnibus.
Yep.
Look at all the over guideline items. That basically addresses the question you're raising, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess. I mean, I thought I was kind of tracking when we were going through each department. I was kind of stepping through that. So maybe I was not communicating that.
Then it would be fast because most of
Yeah.
them meet
Yeah.
guidelines.
Okay, so we can in our ample free time next week, we'll add to it is just run the omnibus one more time and run it explicitly from. I would almost say there's guidelines, and then let's go separate of that, just any significant expense increases, which is what we kind of did, and looking at those, or decreases, both. We like,
One budget I have angst about is the contracts one, so the unsettled contracts.
Okay.
Out of reserve. I think that's
Yeah, good point.
that is hideously high.
So there's the chair and I have had some conversations. I think that I have a meeting this week relative to CBA. Once that conversation takes place, there might be some adjustments that we need to make to have some more clarity in that account and one of the department accounts. I want to be very vague in the moment because part of our negotiations, but I think hopefully by next week, there'll be more clarity to that to kind of explain some of the things that are going on. If that's okay, Mr. Chair. I know we've spoken. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah, that was
But
on my part too, Mike, because it was a dramatic increase in the salary reserve.
Yeah.
My understanding is that account was for unsettled negotiations for union contracts, right?
Not exclusive.
Historically.
It's been used for that because that's usually the biggest.
Shay was shaking his head yes, so there's a little difference.
So it's been used for the union is where I paused the comment. It's been used for unnegotiated contracts or contracts that are in flight.
Not just union.
Adjustments to
Yeah.
the historic. We ran a report a couple of years ago and we looked at like the last 10 years.
Yeah, I remember there was a conversation last time between Jay and you and about having an executive session, just filling us in because
I want to have this conversation with my team.
Yeah.
This week, and then I think by next week I'll be able to, because I know time's getting short. Every day that goes by, we get closer to print. Want to make sure too we're super transparent, but just by order of operations, I do need to sit down with our meeting last week got canceled due to an illness. I was sick, but the other side was even sicker, I guess, because they didn't want to do it. But next week we should have some clarity, and then we can talk a little bit more about.
I think it's a good point because unless we know what we're voting for, it's kind of hard to vote.
That's the one area that we need to finish this, then come back and explain. what's
As a
going on.
point of reference, Amanda, for the first time this year, put in percentages, you know, where we didn't have a union contract. 1, 2, 3, 4%. This is what it would cost for each line. I added up all the 4%. I took a very aggressive, was $20,000.
That was for DPW.
Huh?
That was DPW only.
We have 2 other unions we're negotiating and a chief contract.
Are you sure?
2 chief
Yes.
contracts.
It was still high.
There's,
I went through the whole omnibus. Okay,
I think if
there's a big gap between what I can define.
Yeah.
That's the point. And
I
it's
think-
kind of hard to
I think-
support it one way or the other unless you know what you're voting for.
I'd ask, don't give any support or non-support quite yet. Just give
Yeah.
me next, and I think
No,
once
I
I have the
can't.
conversation, you can do whatever
Okay.
you want. Ask.
Yes.
Well, there is no support or non-support until we do a vote, and there's no vote this week. So, you know,
More to
so
come.
ultimately, but ultimately what's been heard is that there's some confusion around it from the FinCom members. And if you can address that, that would be great next week. And it's recognizing we've got to find that balance between the sharing information and, you know, what needs to be protected for negotiating reasons.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, maybe at the end of this week, we can touch base after I've had my next session.
Okay.
Out if we can talk about an open session on Monday, or if we do need to consider an executive session.
Okay.
That, because I think it's time we need to talk about it. It's just.
Yeah.
Part of getting the next.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, can I change, I'll have to ask Beth, can I change a meeting agenda to include an executive session with under 48 hours? I'm just going to put it in as executive session at the end of our meeting as an agenda item, and then I can pull it out.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that, and that'll get sent out in an hour or so, hopefully. So with that, elementary school.
It's gonna excuse myself. I got.
Thank you.
Blackboard. Good seeing everybody. Thank you.
Bye, Kevin.
So the elementary school is asking about the increase in chapter 70 money. That historically it's gone to the town has used it to increase revenue. But Masco and Essex Tech both get their chapter 70 money sent directly to them.
Right.
And the elementary school wants to talk about having their chapter 70 money allocated to them.
Question, what happens when the chapter 70 money goes down?
It's a great question.
Their budget goes down too? You know,
No.
at this point, the town's kind of taking the buffer on it either way. That's my thought on it, but.
I wouldn't change it this late in the year. I would start that discussion beginning of the next budget year.
For reference, it's around $40,000 increase this year.
No, but I'm just,
40?
we got all the stuff under working already.
I was giving relatively.
Yeah.
to the number.
Yeah. So historically, though, what happens, correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, but as I understand, historically what happens is that we take last year's number and we plug that in as the assumption for this year.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep.
So each year, if it goes up, that money gets held in the town's coffers.
Mhm.
And part of the struggle with that is because we find out about it after we've really, usually it's after we've gone to town meeting, you know, that we're absolutely confident of what it is, or it's certainly much later than it has been. Right. I mean, there've been years where it's been in the summer that we don't get until we get the chapter 70 money finalized. So ultimately, you don't get it until the budget's been passed. The state budget.
Are there multiple education items that we get? I'm just asking because I looked at the numbers I had and it looks like our funding was increasing 82,200.
Last year's chapter 70.
Yes, and this year this current year, they added in additional chapter 70. So they have chapter 70 and then there's like additional chapter 70 that actually comes in separate, but it's the same idea. So it would be confusing because there's multiple lines this year for it. But it doesn't look like they're budgeting it that way next year.
So last year, how
Who are
much,
you talking about there?
Just the DLS, I'm just
Right,
looking at
okay.
the estimated,
last year, how much did we get, chapter 70?
so in 26, we're estimated to get 1.635. And next year, like 27, we're estimated to get 1.675.
Okay,
1,675,000.
yeah.
Oh, I see. I
And
had the right.
what are they
number,
looking
27,
for?
but not
I'm just looking
26.
for the,
They
For
want
the
to-
increase,
yeah,
So,
40,000.
40?
40,000.
so right now they're saying they're under guideline, they're in, where they're at guideline, but level service would have been like 51,000 over or something, like an additional 51, I
Yeah.
think it was.
Yeah, that sounds
So
about
that's what
right.
they're saying, this 40 would help us be able to
Yeah,
increase our expenditures by that.
Amanda, we record that additional 40 now as revenue in the town budget, in general?
Is
So
it
when I
official?
get the estimates, I update in my model to show what the updated estimates are. So yes, right now, that is what is in the model with, for myself, like I use whatever the guidelines are, and then I show our budget with that included to see where we're at.
So here's my question. Basically, they're budgeting 1 year in arrears.
right.
What about the town? Are we budgeting in arrears or are we budgeting
Oh,
actual? You know, is there,
so our model has 1,675,237.
So you
Right.
updated yours with your estimates.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so.
I can understand the frustration.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the town is taking the revenue estimate
Mhm.
in this current fiscal, and next year, the elementary school will get the actual.
So the town and the elementary school are using the same estimated chapter 70 money in budgeting
No.
purposes.
Oh.
The town's getting the town's using the estimate, and the school doesn't get it, uses the actual, so it's the following year. They don't
So-
do that.
Okay,
Okay. It sounds like you got it.
so the town estimates an increase.
No,
No, the town, so let's phrase it this way.
Guidelines.
The state provides an estimate.
Okay,
The town, the elementary school does not build their budget based on that estimate. They build their budget based on last year's actuals.
okay.
We-
I assume we've been doing this for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they get like Title I money that doesn't come through
The
our,
hell's that?
Correct, that's
Right.
great.
that doesn't come through our budget,
That's
but
what
they
they
get some
used
Title
to-
I stuff,
Right.
that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple other funding mechanisms they get, but ultimately, this is the one, right, wrong, and different, wherever it goes. What they're saying is, look, we budgeted for this amount. This goes into the town's coffer. You know, we assume the actuals from last year because that's all we can be certain we're going to get. Yeah, and even that we aren't certain we'll get. Let's be clear. And then, you know, if that money drops, and there have been years where it's been less, but it's been a long, long time, and that was more around. What I remember, it was more around it was our classification, and when they went to the wealthy towns calculations. I'm trying to remember how long ago that was. I can't, but anyway,
17.
I think it might have been before that. Hey, Amanda, can you see any year back? I'm not looking at the deck right now.
Before 2020, so more than 6 years ago.
Oh yeah. Oh no, this was, yeah, in the mid-aughts or the teens, early teens.
Yeah, when they passed, I guess, whatever that.
That-
It was-
Yeah, that's fun.
I forgot the name of it.
Let's
But so anyway, yeah, too far. So anyway, in general, it goes up each year. But there have also been years where the estimated amount that they shared has been different, both up or down from what actually came in. Right. So if we said it was 1,500,000, that's what last year was 1,500,000, just taking easy numbers. The state says our initial estimates are for you guys $1.6 million. And it has, you know, it could come in at $1.65 million, or it could come in at $1.51 million. right? It generally comes in where they estimate it or pretty dang close, but there's no guarantee of that. All right. So that is the elementary school. Anything, so that's going to be something that they're asking us to champion.
I have one data piece there. When we did the guidelines, we based the elementary on 11%. We came in at 13%. So we're picking up 30 grand of that is that 2% increase is 30 grand of that is extra health insurance for the elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Assuming we stay at 13%, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
yeah. Everyone get what he's saying? Remember, insurance, we assumed 11%. We cover insurance for us and them. Although recognize that their insurance costs are what did we figure it out to be? About 40% of the total?
40% of the total. So
yeah,
those 2 points is 60 grand different in what?
Yeah.
There's $60,000 difference in the 11 and 13% for the town's overall health insurance bill.
And so 24 of that gets allocated to, the town is covering that. The town or the 11, somehow we need to find that and cover that.
Right. But I mean, I would sort of, in the spirit of when, the town is picking up more of the school budget than anticipated. Yada, 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 yada.
Yeah, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So as we get those numbers finalized and move forward, that'll be part of the discussion we need to have in terms of how to handle it. Catherine, what are your thoughts on what is needed? I mean, I know what's going to ensure that they don't need to come on next Monday, but I'm pretty sure we're not prepared to do that right now.
Pretty sure we're not.
Yeah. So do we just say, look, we're still trying to figure that out and we need to see the numbers and further, or what helps them?
Yeah, it's almost like, what would they be expending this money for?
Yeah. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Because I just remember the level service was, 51, they weren't including 51.
Right, they made more cuts this year. The past couple of years, they just keep cutting and cutting and cutting to get to guideline, because it's impossible to just come in at 2.5% without cutting services.
Yeah, so what would they want to put back? I guess is what I'd want to know is. If they come in a guideline, so now what is it that they would want $40,000? Okay.
Okay. And so that's what you'd like. I think the insurance plays into this as well. I think that's a comment Mike had that plays into it. Anybody else have anything else that Catherine can bring back in terms of what are some of the facts that we're considering or would like to have to consider where we align on this?
I mean, I can tell you guys where the town's at with and without that.
Yeah, right. We just talk about more override.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I think about. Like, if they want $40,000 more, I guess I wouldn't tie it to Chapter 70. Like, if they want to make a case for why they need another 40,000, like, that's great. Let's hear it and talk about it. But I wouldn't, just because it's a convenient that's the Chapter 70 increase. Like, I wouldn't necessarily tie it to it.
Right.
So I think that it's more of like the psychological aspect of it, that they've requested overrides for several years in a row, and it was really important to them this year that they not ask for an override. They worked really hard to do that. So I think that's where that's coming from.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think they did a great job just observing. Like, they're the only people that came in a guideline, right?
Well, currently, right? This 40,000 would be
above
that. But that's, but right now give them props. We need to recognize and give them props. That doesn't mean we give them money. I'm just saying we got to acknowledge them, and then we've got to figure out what we're going to do, how we do this, because that would be just a more of an, as they're saying, more of an override there. Okay. All right. Anything else on that? So the last two that we had on our thing was Masco and free cash. If I can hit Masco for a minute, and I'll start the update, because while Heidi's the rep or the liaison, because of the specific request for the chairs for the talk on the Capitol, I'll fill in from there, and I'll ask Heidi to fill in everything and anything that I'm missing. I phrase it as Masco. So we had a meeting last week. Masco asked us to, each of the FinCom chairs, each of the select board chairs, and the town administrators. So the 9 of us met with Masco. It was the chair of the school committee and Dr. Harvey, and then the 9 of us. The conversation was around their plan for the capital requests, specifically the roof, the HVAC, the and a couple of other minor repairs, but those are relatively minor. They call it the building management system, which would be temperatures, valves, shutoffs, all of that associated with the HVAC. The same time that that's going on, Masco is coming in next week to talk with us and go over their budget. As I see their budget from the last time, and we'll come to the budget piece last, but just to give context, is they're coming in with an ask that's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on a couple of things, of I think it's $400,000 to $600,000 for the town. I think that's about where it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest budget I've seen out of Masco has us at 550 override.
Total override or
For the Masco override.
the Masco override? That's if nothing drops, and that's inclusive of one thing I was going to talk about later, which is they are reducing E&D. They're changing their policy. They're proposing they change their policy to reduce E&D so that they can pull more money out of E&D to fund their operations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the budgets and
Yeah. So, and no, you're right. So say 500.
About 500.
Man, 550 is the max.
But then the minimum you assume was what, like it's a little over 100.
The minimum is like a little, yeah.
Okay.
That their new budget scenario too, which is like 9.2 FTE cuts. That's got it down to 95K.
Okay. And so we'll see what comes out of it. That's great. They are making, guys, this is painful for them, and they are trying to do some things about it. This isn't them. We'll see what comes in the next 2 weeks, but so far my perspective has been is that the question isn't whether they're being truthful and honest, and that's a bad words, whether they're being true to the goal of trying to find ways to reduce the budget. The question is whether people feel that it's painful enough or not. And painful is it's too painful or not. I'm not saying this well, and unfortunately, it is clear they are making an effort. All right. And that's what I'm trying to communicate. I'm not saying it well. So the question becomes not, in past years, there have been places where we felt there wasn't an effort, whether that was Masco Elementary Town. I'm not picking on any one. I personally think that Masco is making an effort to address some of this stuff. But we'll have to look at that and understand their budget and their items, and probably should do that. Heidi, can you share as a liaison their latest budgets? It's out there on the website. They post them all, but just share it so that we can all go in next. Share it online, share it, email it to all of us, to everybody, so that we can go in and look at it before next Monday. But they have 4 asks in general. They're going to have an ask on a budget, which includes an override. They have an ask to change their policy, and we don't actually vote on this, but we have a feedback to reduce E&D from the floor, the minimum that they have to keep in, from 4% to 3%. It works out to be about $440,000 that they can pull out if they do that. And then they're allocating that, currently they're allocating that to operations. Okay. They haven't asked for capital, that I'll come to and I'll explain now, which is the first step in the big capital ask. And then just very recently, they came and asked for, similar to they have in the past couple of years, a couple $100,000. No, it's still swirling what the number actually is, about 400,000 in total, or 400,000 or 500,000 in total, for some capital improvements. And that capital is lowercase c, meaning it's hey, there is building and maintenance and field stuff we want to do and would like some money to do it. Okay, so 4 requests. Right now, go ahead.
At some point, Jay, can we talk about the big capital?
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, I got some information too.
Okay. So the presentation, they gave us a presentation last Thursday or Wednesday, I forget, whichever day it was. I think it was Thursday. It was Thursday. They gave us a presentation on Thursday where they went over they've been basically invited, they were applied and were invited to move forward in the SBA with this project. That means that they have, and the SBA actually paused on sending them the letter because you have a certain amount of time, and it's a few months, to approve bringing on the OPM, which is the owner's project manager, and authorizing the spend for the design portion. All in, that ask is about 1.75 million total for across all 3 towns. They are doing this off of their questioning to SBA only, and it's based on some very high level numbers and things. The overall ask for the effort, they put what I think is probably a conservative estimate, meaning if they did it now, it would probably be that or less that it actually came in. But the overall request that they're presenting is $70 million. It's a 25, since it's roofs, it's a 25-year, 20 or 25-year, I believe, 25-year bond, not a 30-year bond. Roofs have a 25-year life cycle. So the ask this year was 1.75 million, which would be borrowed if at some point down the road we chose not to go forward with the whole project. That 1.75 would have to be paid off in 5 years. So our share of that 1.75 million would be about $550,000 or $600,000, 550. And we would have to pay it off 500, a little under 550. We would have to pay it off in 5 years.
If the project does move forward, then it's rolled into the 25-year?
Yep.
Okay.
And the 25-year, what you do is your first couple of, while you're doing the project, you don't actually pay, you actually pay what's called a band. So you're interest only until the project's done. And once the project's done, they do it. Now, of that 70 million, since it's SBA, approximately 40 million of it, 40%, excuse me, 28 million of it approximately, and I'll tell you why in a minute, would be covered by the state. We as a towns would have to authorize the entire 70 million. And then as we turn in the work, the state would validate that we are doing what we said we should do and what they mandated we do. And they would pay us for those things that they have approved. Generally, it's a pretty good, my experience, and I've had a little bit of experience with this, and these folks have had a lot of experience with this as part of their profession. Generally, it's pretty clear. You go in saying, these are the things we're paying for, these are the things we won't, and you know going into this what the 40% will be applied to, right? So, for example, we redo the field house, let's say. Yes. We add a swimming pool. That's not part of what the SBA says is part of what they'll pay for. That's a no, right? Neither one of those two is part of this conversation. I'm using an example outside of this but that would be it. Another example, they do mandate that if you are doing HVAC systems, every classroom needs to have cooling as well as heating. So that's part of why that cost goes up significantly, because you now have to put in ducting and everything to support cooling.
Is there any discussion about the type of HVAC system, like thermal?
There is very little discussion. It is pretty much stated what you will use, and it is heat pump. And the question becomes, there's two versions, whether you do the drill deep down and pull some of the geothermal or not. As they said, that's generally about the range of what we have as options. Yeah, you're not putting in an oil burner or a gas-fired burner system or anything like that. Part of this also is because of that, we have to upgrade the whole electrical run from wherever we start, we being Masco owns, and the state or the national grid needs to make sure that they can push enough power to get over to that building. So the electrical will be updated as part of that.
I guess it begs the question, is if you didn't have these requirements, what would it cost to just do it the way you wanted to do it?
I asked that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is something that I've always kind of wanted to go out there and figure a way to do a study on, and I shared that exact comment. I said, I would love to know, they're paying 40%, but what percentage are they actually increasing the cost of the project? And does that mean that actually we're only getting 20% of value or minus 5% of value or 38%? It's not 38%.
Right.
But I mean, global warming, global climate change, what June and September are like nowadays, whatever it's going on here, air conditioning, I don't think, there's an argument that it's needed. Whether you agree or not, I don't know. But temperatures are certainly warmer now than they were 50 years ago when I was in elementary school.
But I was just kind of cautious.
Yeah.
I was thinking gas heat versus electric heat.
Oh, yep.
So,
The two major ones you can point to your point, are heat pumps versus gas and HVAC. I mean, cooling are the two things that, drive into that. So that's the other thing that we communicated to them fairly strongly, was that they needed to make sure in their case that they presented, and they were open to this, that they explained that this is the first step in asking for possibly $70 million next year. Or, sorry, more than likely in a special town meeting later next year, 2027. Because the amount of time it takes and the work it's going to take is going to take more than a year, but we can't wait 2 years to go from OPM and design to start build. Last thing I'll say on it is a reminder, that these things are capital, so it means all three towns have to approve it.
Which is what happened.
Why we haven't started it.
Right.
It's for borrowing.
Mhm.
Yeah, for the borrowing. Unlike the budget, which two towns approve and the third gets welcomed along.
Or free cash capital's the same way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, all three towns have to approve.
Borrowing.
Yes,
This is like a debt exclusion or just borrowing in general? It's not a debt exclusion.
any capital expenditure like this. So for example, if the three towns, the other ask is for that 400, and right now it's 450 or $500,000 total for capital requests. If one of the three towns said no to that because it's capital, they would not collect from any of the three towns. Right, Mike?
I thought for free cash capital, it was a 2 out of 3. I thought the thing was just when you borrowed, you need 3 out of 3.
So you are right for capital. Maybe let's check that one then.
Because I just remember once, we had, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
You need.
That's right. Because go ahead. What's that?
No, I think you just need 2 out of 3 if you're not borrowing money. Once you have borrowing authorization, then you need 3 out of 3.
Well, I think the capital 400,000 is in a gray area. The agreement says for any major capital initiative, the agreement from 1950, whatever, all three towns need to approve. But I think this one we should validate which way it is.
Right.
Okay.
So you'd negotiate with the other towns whether this is free cash or whether Masco would borrow? Is that?
No, they're not asking for the 1.75 is a borrow.
Right.
The separate request, the fourth of their 4 requests,
Yeah.
give that one. No, that's just they're going to each towns. It wouldn't be a borrow. They're asking each towns to allocate the money.
That's for scenario 2, it's 587,000.
No, this is not that. This is not the override. This is something that has just come in.
The capital costs that they have in the scenario 2 for Chromebooks and.
Yes.
That's additional. What are you talking about? Is that this 587?
Is that's outside of their operating budget though, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Capital cost.
Yes.
Yep.
That 587 is what they're asking for the three towns. And there was one item that was on that they were last week saying, well, I'm not sure that's going to be there. So that number may come down.
So they're having a meeting tonight. So hopefully they'll have something that I can share with everybody that's
Yes.
updated from even this.
Yeah. So again, let's go through the 4 requests. Just a reminder. 1 is their override. 2 is reduce E&D and use the $440,000 towards their operating budget. 3 is their first of the requests of 1.75 million towards the 70 million for doing the buildings. And that 70 million estimate does not include anything to do with fields. Okay. Which is something that is what's the right word? A flashpoint in the town. There are strong feelings on both sides of that issue. Right. So that's not part of it. So if anyone starts talking about that when we're talking about this, just put that aside. And I don't mean us. I mean as you're talking to everyone in town.
Most recent budget.
And the 4th item is this request for about $500,000 for capital items, capital improvements. Okay. Any thoughts, comments, anything we'd like? They're coming in next week. These are the 4 things we're going to be talking about. The fifth thing that I've shared with them separately was that they need to get a handle on understanding what the impact is going to be of Essex Tech's plan over the coming years. But that's not a right now thing. That's in the coming weeks and months thing. So any comments or thoughts on the 4?
Yeah, the big elephant, the capital, 70 million.
Yep.
Is that presentation available anywhere, Che?
I will check and see if it is yet or not. I will look and see. If not, it will be.
They're pretty.
Because
Yeah.
I heard rumors,
See, it was because, all I'm saying is because it wasn't there was no quorum of any board. It was a working session type of thing. They're really good at putting up their many minutes and documents. This one, I don't know that it has anything. We asked for it when it was ready, but I don't know that it is. So I'm looking now while we talk.
Yeah, I started to, hear more details about this. So I went online and I looked at Masco Regional High School capital.
Yeah.
And the most current item on there was the SOI they filed with the state, statement of interest.
Yep.
And it really is a statement of interest about this project.
Yep.
And it was the most concise, informative material I've ever seen. It's a
Nice.
total of 19 pages, but 10 of them have all the meat. It goes
Yeah.
through the history of the building, the maintenance in the past, what the current situation is, and it's really based on, I think, about 6 consultant reports. I can't recommend it enough. I mean,
Could you share the link to everybody when you
Yeah.
get a chance?
Yeah,
So the
Because-
That would be great.
a few statistics, Che. They divide the building into 4 sections: high school, middle school, the link, they call it,
Yep. Yep.
which is in between, and of course, the wastewater treatment for 4,000 square feet. But the total square footage is 377,000 square feet.
Hmm.
To put that in perspective, if you have a 3,700 square foot home, I mean, we'd consider that a big home. This is equal to 100 of them.
Yep.
So you get an idea of what they're dealing with. It kind of humbled me a little bit when I started reading this. It talked about the electrical problems. They have gas-fired boilers, must be big ones for heat.
Hmm.
2
Yep.
gas-fired boilers, 2 circulating pumps. One is broken, so the other one is running 24/7. I mean,
That's great.
some of the things in this SOI were really eye-opening. So I'll send a link around, Che. It's a quick
Great.
read, but it
That's
really
awesome.
grounds you. It's extremely good.
Good. So that's on that. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts?
Yeah, what's
So-
the impact of Topsfield on the eventual bond for the 70 million?
So if you take, let's do it this way, and we'll walk back into it. If you take 70 million
Take 40, 20.
and
yeah.
you take 28 out of it,
Yep.
right, you're down to $42 million. And we are about 30% of we're just right at 30%, 30 point something percent. So I'm going to leave it at 30 just to do it. So that puts us 30% of $42 million is 12 and 14, $15 million. Bond for 15 million. A little less than that. 13, 14 million, just under about 14.
And what would that be?
Now here's
25-year bond and half a million of principal a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interest.
Plus interest.
yeah, you're putting it's $1 million a year.
Override.
25-year bond, I mean, just under, it'd be just under, but it's $1 million a year.
So is that excludable debt?
That's excludable. That.
So that they didn't get voted on, it's just
Right.
raises your taxes, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the vote is when you approve the debt. That's the 70 million. Once you've done it, you've done it.
25 years.
Mm-hmm.
One thing for you guys that are newer to the committee, And as we do, this is me passing on. I'm still here. Not leaving anytime soon, but this is legacy information you're going to need. When this last happened, it came through and went. And then as the payments started coming down, right? So because it's not, as we paid off more and more of it, it wasn't level payments for the entire time. As those levels came down, because of the way Masco does their whole budgets, it's wrapped into their annual assessment to the towns. So we weren't experiencing the pain of their operational growth to the level that was actually happening. Right. So when the bonds dropped off, let's say when they dropped off, all of a sudden, what had happened is the bond had gone from $500,000 in payments from the town, or it was less than that, 300,000 to 250. That $50,000 less that we were had to pay, didn't come out of what their assessment was. They just built it in, that transferred over into the operational costs. Or it wasn't explicitly pulled out and budgeted towards that. It was hidden, because at the end of the day, we were looking at what the community assessment was, and it was not the right way we should have been looking at it. Does that make sense? So something for us to think about. Anybody have anything else on Masco? I have a thought, but I want people to have theirs first. All right.
So this is very well defined as to the scope, as to what this covers, Jay. You did
Yeah.
say nothing to do with the athletic fields.
Nothing to do with the fields. It is the roofs. It is the electrical. It is the plumbing, the heating and HVAC. It is quite well defined. I mean, the documentation that when it comes out, when it's there, and I don't have it, but when it comes out, it will show 10 items, and it will show an estimate for each of the 10 items, 10 or 11 or 12 items, whatever it was.
Yeah, this
So-
SOI that I'll send a link around talked only about the high school.
Yeah.
That this was dealing only with the high school, not with the middle school and not with the links. So this is just for, I don't know, half the building. It's
No.
like, wow.
Okay, so let's see what that is. The piece I wanted to have for a brief minute, and my angst and concern, my one angst and concern with this, or two, they're intertwined, is first off, they're about to go out for a policy change to reduce the amount of money they have to keep in their E&D. So they're making a less conservative policy on financials and using that windfall, that 1 year windfall, for operating expenses. So they're taking, in this number that they have, they're taking $440,000 and using it for operating expenses. I'm uncomfortable for that on twofold. But now I turn around and I say, wait a minute, but then you're asking for $500,000 in what truly is one-time expenses.
That's a good point. Mhm.
So my struggle here, the one and only, my one struggle is, and what I would preferred to have seen is that they acknowledge the override for what it is, for the operating expenses. And if they wanted to take that 400,000 and drop their policy, which I have a little concern, but they felt that it wasn't a risk. I have already asked. They felt I was a little concerned. They're about to go ask for a big loan, and how's it going to look on their ratings that they changed financial policy to stay on budget. The finance team at Masco was relayed back to us, wasn't particularly concerned with that. They didn't think that was going to be, well, my words, the feather that breaks the camel's back type of thing. I mean, no one of these things changes your bond rating. It's a whole combination of them, but that one kind of shows.
I guess my concern with Masco is their level service budget is up 7.2%. Which is what structurally is going on there? Is they've only got 14%, yeah, they've got 14% healthcare costs, but there's something structural that their budget's going up faster than the tech or the elementary schools.
Well, it's also the special education, the out of district.
There's something,
It's
yeah, but
6 million.
they claim that's coming down or that they're dropping. Anyway, there's something
That went
structural.
down, didn't it?
That went down, but there's something structural in the Masco budget.
Right.
Either there's a whopper of a contract or something, there's something structural there. That keeps showing up. Because last year we had big override and that should have wiped out all
Well, yeah.
and now-
A reminder that they used over $800,000
Mhm.
of E&D money.
Yeah.
That they to avoid a bigger hit on their operating expenses in their override. Ultimately this year, I think, Mike, you make a good point. It's probably something, Heidi, you want to pass along, that is a question that that FinCom has, is your level service budget shows a 7.4% increase. You're reducing from that. We appreciate that. But why would your level service be up so much? That's
And I think what
Mike's.
that number looks like with the health insurance backed out would be helpful. So they can't just immediately turn to that and say, oh, it's health insurance.
But Mike said that was without health insurance.
No, I said they had
That includes-
Okay.
the level,
Yeah.
so, but
Understood.
but like the text facing, but the text, Essex text budget's up 4.5% over last year. And
Okay,
that's all. It's just there's something in Masco that's a little bit high.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
just worried. Why is the budget going up so much? To be like, oh, it's health insurance. It was like, well, I'd
Yeah.
peel that back because that's
Yeah.
the easy answer.
Right.
right.
What's really
Yeah.
going something else?
Yeah.
I did a quick analysis of like the foundation budget vertical analysis of Essex Tech and Masco side by side. I shared that with you this afternoon.
I'm throwing it up right now. This one, right? Yeah. And you can put this in the meeting minutes and then share it out to everyone as well.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Shay?
Yes.
Not a little bit, but quite a bit.
The youngest eyes are having trouble.
Yes. Let me give you one more. I think I can go one more even. Yeah, there we go.
Essex Tech uses the foundation categories. Masco does not, and it's keen to try to cross-reference. So Masco's analysis, Masco's comparison is based on just work that I've done, but Essex Tech is straight from the categories that they,
Mhm.
What does the elementary school do?
well, they don't show it, but I've mapped it. They've given me the codes.
So there's
that
no
they
standard,
use.
everybody does their own accounting?
Well, elementary does use the codes, they
Yeah.
just they don't present it to us.
Okay.
And this is I'm surprised that this one is only this much differential. You'd think that at the tech, with the expense of the equipment and materials and everything, that would be significantly more,
Hmm.
No, but just as a tech. But anyway, so let me share one other thing, that this is what the Middleton FinCom is going to be presenting to, and I'm going to share this with you guys. To a level, had shared with them about some of his questions, and ultimately the piece there I wanted to highlight is that at the end of the day, Middleton pays Masco $25,325 for each of its 466 students. And for their 56 Essex Tech students, they pay $23,432.
So Essex Tech, though, this is the whole thing with foundation budget. The Essex Tech foundation enrollment is higher than the actual enrollment. And I tried to do some kind of analysis there too. So
Yeah.
overall, the Essex Tech district gets more help from the state. But if
Yeah.
we were to look at what our contribution based on our, what we're supposed to contribute based on, our wealth, it's a little funky because the per pupil, it's off. It's not the same.
So the one thing I would be interested, we need to look at is Essex Tech. Not even going to the depth of foundation, just ask the question. I just asked the question, Essex Tech with 1,530 students, we have 1,503. Okay. Essex Tech, how much aid do they get? I suspect it's more and should be probably, according to the figures, because they have Salem, Peabody in their numbers of what they, from the state aid. But I'm not sure any aid they get. There isn't a lot there. The Essex Tech doesn't have out of district placement, right? So that would make a material change. But they do have busing to 18 communities from 18 communities that doesn't get refunded by anybody. Whereas we do have busing from 3 communities. And, so think of it, each bus is a little more efficient in our area, right? Significantly less square footage, square miles to cover. So this is something that just would be a good part of the dialogue with Masco next week as well. Heidi, if you can give them a heads up, just this analysis, and I'll share this across to them. I've got to check and see. This was shared to me and asked what my feedback was. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure I'm okay in doing this because he said he was sending it to the whole school committee. But I am a little concerned that I may have jumped the gun. I hope I didn't. But I keep coming back to what, from my perspective, Heidi, the Masco and what will say next week to them as they go into their final thing is, I'm a process guy. I want to make sure we follow our policies and our procedures and our process. And using one-time funds to fund operations is not our process.
Right.
And it's not a good management function. And to do that at a time that you're asking, separate of that, for other capital, and this is, well, first off, this is to, quote, lessen the pain or extend the pain when you have the pain of acknowledging the operational increases that you had last year and were hidden by the $800,000 you pulled from E&D. So to do it again this year means you're continuing to kick half that can down the road again, which means we work 400,000 in the hole. I just lost the, do we just lose the screen? You guys are still here. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that we need to put that back up. I mean, I'm done with any presentation piece that I had.
Well, I'll try.
Okay.
Is E&D essentially the same as a stabilization account?
No, it's free cash.
Oh, it's free cash, okay.
It's their version of free cash.
Yeah, what does that stand
So
for?
it's like retained earnings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or literally, it's like free cash. No, just the easiest way is think of it as free cash. We have a policy that says we keep a certain amount of free cash every year, right?
Okay.
That made us have a very painful year last year in our disbursement of free cash, right?
Got it.
And we stay very true with the minor exception, and we've done it year over year over year for 30 plus years of relatively minor, of offset the tax levy. which is something we consistently do every year to a certain level, and is in effect, let's be honest, funding operational expenses with one-time cash, but we do it every year to the same amount every time, same percentage every time, or I have. And if we have to go down because we don't have free cash, we go down. But so it's been so consistent that we all just have done that.
Yeah, I finally understood that, Che, after all these years.
Yeah.
I brought it up a number of times, but you're right, it goes way, way back. But at that point, we should have increased the tax levy. We should not have used the one-time free cash.
Mm-hmm.
But effectively, we've locked it in. So every single year, we have to use that free cash, and we have less free cash. And one of my concerns is it's almost like a fixed expense we have no choice on now, just like OPEB or other things.
But let's back to Masco. That's fine. I understand, but we're staying on Masco. So the use of it in general, like the way my concern is what I would rather see is them ask for an override that includes their true operating expenses, and that money is then used. It would make more fiscal policy sense to then use that money, the E&D, if you're tied to reducing your policy, use it to fund those capital items, those capital requests for the Chromebooks and those other things.
Jay, can you let the owl back in? I think we're in the waiting room.
Oh,
or not the owl, but the room.
Yeah. Let me see.
Just so people can see you up on the screen.
Oh, lucky you really want to do that?
Yeah.
View. Let me try and find it because I'm gonna have to stop sharing so I can get my full screen back.
Yeah, I don't know why the room computer timed out. It left the meeting.
Yeah.
We're done.
So last year, Masco used 800,000 of E&D for operating expenses.
Yes.
How are they covering that this year?
450,000 is part of the override and or part of the cuts. What's the right way? I don't want to say it's one or the other. And 450,000, they're trying to do it again. That's what dropping the 3% is.
Got it.
All right, give me a second. Sorry, I'm gonna figure out now how do I stop sharing. All my screens are all over the place. Okay, admit. There we go. It should be coming up right now. There it is. All right. So that was the only one I had for Masco. I acknowledge that they're looking at some painful cuts and some work, and I hope that they can find their way through that in a way that is fiscally responsible and balances the needs of the kids as best they can. But that's where we're at. Anybody else have anything else on Masco? Free cash strategy was the last thing, and I'm hoping we can do this pretty quickly so we can let people go because we've got some light weeks coming up. So David, you want to kick off with that?
Sure. Yeah, and I had a conversation with Kevin a few weeks ago about this, just in general. We have a one-time, very large increase in free cash, 1.1 million. So the real question is, what's the most prudent strategy, or what's the best strategy over the next couple of years to use it? And there's a lot of options. We could pull in capital purchase and buy them now. We could set more aside in capital stabilization accounts to fund big capital purchases. You may remember the elementary school talked about Proctor School, the old section windows, 1 to 2 million. And even at 40% off, you're talking nominally $1 million to Topsfield. That's something, if we planned, we could fund without borrowing, like we just did on the fire engine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure the best way to do it, but I thought it was a conversation and a thought process. I'd be very interested in everybody else's thoughts on it, so.
So, I mean, having said that, let's put the context around where we're at right now. There's a proposal for free cash use this year, or a series of proposals.
Right.
Amanda, with that, does that bring us down to with those proposals, does that bring us down to how close does that bring us to our minimum amount we need to retain?
We're about $250,000. Like
Above the million.
Above, okay. Okay. And total amount that we are about, the total amount, that we are proposing that has been allocated in the warrants as of right now?
2.5 million.
Yeah, 2.535.
535. Okay. All right. So just putting in context, there's a proposal that does use the vast majority of the available money. David is saying, hey, as we're thinking about this, do we want to consider some other things?
Yeah, I was trying to think out a couple of years, especially when I heard Proctor School windows.
Yeah.
I guess it's a philosophy, how you want to use it. And I don't know the right answer, but I thought it worth a discussion.
I think it's worth the discussion as well. We basically gotten over $1 million windfall. And
One time,
without ever discussing it, it's basically all been allocated to spend. So I think it's worth pausing. I agree with you, David.
Well said. I guess that's my point.
Okay. Now, the ways that we can go about doing this, first having a conversation, which is we're giving a heads up to Amanda now, and can speak with Kevin next week in our ample free time about it. But ultimately, and maybe Amanda, if you could give a share out this week, just explicitly the free cash waterfall, item by item, what is being proposed. That would be helpful.
I think you guys have the most recent version.
Is it?
So-
Yeah. Okay.
Is that your capital source?
That's like my funding source.
Yeah, that's great because you can see the balances of all the different.
Yeah.
Same thing you guys are.
Right, so, yeah, so, and if you look at the model that was circulated on projected Schedule B, it's all listed there as well as written.
Okay.
Some of the money is being used to replenish stabilization funds,
Correct.
and some is obviously going to elementary school funds. So it's not. It's not all just being spent, but
Right. Well, it is. Yeah, but it's being allocated.
But some is for the future.
Yes.
I think of things as would I spend free cash on it? If I didn't have free cash, would I ask the town to borrow money and raise taxes to pay for it? And if they wouldn't do it for that, then I'm hesitant to put out free cash. That's sort of a internal lever that I think about.
Is it really essential?
How essential is it? Or is it, hey, there's a bunch of free cash, let's get a new pickle digger. Something, a pickle picker. Sorry, pickle picker. Something I was just trying to get generic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would
Sort of like the 40,000, right? Yeah.
Well, if I can jump in, I went to a training it was actually financial policies, and a lot of it was based on town philosophy. And there are towns out there that take out debt for everything. They're not like, we're a very free cash capital town. We don't like to take out debt unless it's greater than like 5 million, but like other towns, like we'll take out debt for like a fire truck or a dump truck and stuff. So it is just like philosophy. So it's a valid conversation.
okay. Where do we go from here? Do we want to walk through those items? Do we want everyone look at them and we bring them next week with questions? Are you comfortable with what's there? I mean, David, you brought up the point of, hey, we should have a philosophy conversation. So I'm supportive of that. I'm not going to lead it. So it's like from here, I'll facilitate it, but
Are we going, if we're getting to a point where we're gonna talk about each expenditure free cash, I'm ready to have that discussion. I don't know if that's for tonight, though.
yeah, I don't know that we're ready. I mean, we're not, yeah.
I mean, just,
But-
I'm up to speed because when I'm typing all the stuff in, I've been reading
Right.
the warrant closely, so I have opinions, but,
Maybe we keep that in mind as we go through each capital warrant
yeah.
and decide, is this essential? Or is it better off putting the money aside in a capital stabilization or leaving it in more free cash?
Well,
Well,
There's no reason we can't have $1.5, $2 million of free cash for a year or two.
there were a few that the police department had said that they were okay not
Right,
not
the chief,
spending, but it's.
the
on
chief's
different-
car, for example, he said, you know,
He pulled it in because the free cash is
he
available.
pulled it,
Like,
Here?
Yeah.
and he was asked to pull it in. He didn't.
yeah,
I mean,
he was asked to,
yeah,
which I
they-
thought kind of strange.
You know, there's something in a gray area. You know, maybe we put it aside, save it,
well, it doesn't Masco want free cash? I mean,
huh?
I wonder if we should have Masco's requests in here too, so they can compete.
And that was the concern we just had. If they come in with 200,000, that puts us very close to
Right.
our limit.
Right.
And then we'd have to move some things around.
Yeah.
So.
So philosophically, what I'm hearing is some conversation around, okay, so actually I'll put it back on us, Michael and Mike and Tom.
Sure.
It would be good if you took what Amanda has done and classified them out. I know they're already there, but classified them out as those things that are investments, meaning we're putting them back into other accounts.
Okay.
Pull that out of the 2.2 or the 2.5.
Right.
And then, so, I mean, because, I mean, it's not, well, actually it is, over $1 million of it is going to be, it's just that is, you know, so 30%, 40% of it is, going towards being invested.
Yeah.
If you
What is
will.
that?
Well, so just.
OPEB,
Oh,
OPEB.
OPEB.
Free stabilization accounts, the, you know, capital stabilization account, funding the capital stabilization account, adding funds to the general stabilization account.
Yeah, to bring them back where they were a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah. Continuing the OPEB one. I mean, the OPEB one's a big one too with that, but that's, you know, I mean, we've, you know.
Right.
One of my concerns, and Amanda, you can correct my numbers if I'm wrong. This year, if we take the 1.1 million away, we have 2.7 million free cash without that one time, okay? Take away the 900,000 that we carried over, it means we generated 1.8 million in free cash. And I looked at what fixed costs do we have? You know, we've got OPEB, we've got the pension, and we have really 300,000 in cash offset to tax levy. We're locked in on that. I finally understood that. But then you look at it, I came up with like 650,000 of free cash. We have to fund other things. And I said, oops, that's not very much. But that's where one of my thought processes went. So
So I think we asked the departments to do, it'd be good to take like a 5-year view of what we have coming down the pike in terms of big capital items.
they have.
And then make sure we have, because I think we know what like our normal free cash would be going from. This is kind of an this year, but we know what the normal level would be, I guess, and just make sure we have enough to cover, I don't know, the next 5
I'm not
years.
sure we do.
I think that, yeah, that would be a
I
good
think we
question.
might end up borrowing one at some point.
Oh, yeah. Well, and part of this, so let's face it, and we had this conversation last year on that same thing. You know, we have pressured the budget over the past years so that our free cash is less historically than it was as a percentage of overall. than it has been. Ignore the one-time swings last year. We have pressured the budget. And the place that got cut was, frankly, the estimations. It wasn't the first place that got cut were, let's be a little less conservative in our estimates, right? Which is natural. Now we've got to live with that. Now, I mean, to that point, free cash is probably not going to be what we've become accustomed to.
But you're right, the change was bringing the budget more in line with actual, so we were really
Yeah.
cutting the budget, not particularly cutting the spending.
The expense, yeah. Or the
And-
first, yeah.
That's the key, obviously, the
Yeah.
spending, the expenses. The budget is just.
So, Amanda, I am trying to find that spreadsheet.
What's the title of it?
It's called funding sources.
Dated,
I can resend it to you.
No, give me a second.
it's dated February 11th. Oh, wait, no.
11th. Okay.
Sorry, no, that's the wrong one.
I did what you said, Jay. I went through that spreadsheet and pulled out all of the fixed costs that, we're obligated to. Whether it's
Mhm.
OPEB, actually the free cash offset the tax levy. I went through all of the things we really don't have much discretion on. And that didn't leave a hell of a lot of free cash generated after that.
Amanda, the one I have is from 112. Oh, wait a
I
minute.
sent you.
211? Funding, there it is. Okay, I found it.
Yeah, to
Found it. Thank you.
And that was based on 4.01.
Okay, I just sent him 5.03.
Oh,
Oh, you did? Okay.
And based on the most current warrant, and then I can send it all out to you guys.
mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing that changed was that elementary.
I think he
thought process
added
is good.
a.
Oh, sure.
pension
You have to go
savings
borrow?
too.
The borrow, would you do it?
Like Amanda said, a lot of towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll like
you're
borrow
correct.
for it,
They borrow for all their capital.
yeah.
But when they do that, they look at
makes
the
it-
borrowing cost.
Yeah.
And that affects the decision, should we really do it?
Yeah.
I hate the term free cash, it's really,
It's not
I know, I
free.
do too.
Yeah.
in fact, the person that coined that said it was a terrible name, terrible name.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a good situation. It just depends on the most prudent way to utilize it, that's all. That's why I wanted to start the conversation if I could.
Sure.
Let you eloquent people take it from there.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, we're looking at this and what we're saying, when we look at it, so like the 450, 400 plus the 440, so plus 150. So we're right, 450, actually 454. So 90, 900, I think 1,000,005. I mean, 1,050,000, 1.1 million with the pension stabilization. 1.1 million of that is going to
Reserve, and then on top of that, there's also indemnity leave and unemployment.
unemployment. Yeah, I'm in my head at that moment. I was debating whether those, to me,
Right.
We don't call those reserve, but they
Right.
are.
right. So. So anyway, but I mean, if you go down through this list and to that point, I think that's part of the conversation then.
Someone who's on like injured.
Yeah. but-
I put in one police cruiser each year is basically
We'll talk to
a requirement. You don't have much choice, Jay.
Right. So the interesting thing, to that point, David, that one's just been a debate back and forth every year. Why not putting in the operating budget? Why not?
Right.
The reality is, I mean, let me give you my 2 cents. If it's in the operating budget and something's got to give,
Huh.
right? Whereas if it's not in the operating budget, we unilaterally get to decide, the town gets to explicitly decide whether they want to invest in the one thing I do like about doing it off of these ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say is the town gets to say, yes, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Once you throw it into the operating budget, you've lost that. Okay. Anybody have anything else on this? It's a good conversation. I think the takeaway, Amanda, is, hey, Kevin, hey, Amanda, when we get together to walk through the free cash items and the warrant starting next week, we're going to be questioning this because of, how do we handle some of these to handle the fact that many of these are not, this free cash isn't going to be here in the future. This level of free cash.
Just to clarify, it sounds like we're still determining what that was. Like whether we want to hold some back for a different purpose or what that right number is, where we want to land.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I can
Go ahead.
clarify that bit. What we would like to see, ultimately, the select board and you guys, you, Kevin, and the select board put forth to us, right? I mean, it's ultimately your decision that we then opine on. I used to hate that word, and I seem to be saying it more and more now. But
Sounds like New Hampshire.
yeah, opine. But ultimately, yeah, from a guidelines perspective, we're wondering, okay, is there, did we paint ourselves, let's take OPEB next year. OPEB and any other stabilization funds are going to wipe out a substantial part of our free cash.
I'm looking at that spreadsheet now, Che. I'll just run down, tells you the items I think are fixed. We don't have much choice on.
Yep.
Just starting at line 18, Tri-Town Council,
Yep.
senior care.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second before you do that. I'm in it to my copy, and I'm just putting a note next to the ones you
Some of
said.
these are gray, and you could question them, but
Okay, go ahead. So you're saying Tri-Town Council.
this is a list I made.
Hang on. Let me just do this.
Tri-Town Council went up a little bit.
I know, yeah,
So they must have asked for more.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, that went up like.
Give me a second. Okay, yeah, Tri-Town Council, senior care.
Biennial actuary study.
So that
Yeah.
That may be every 2 years.
that
though.
used to be in the
Yes.
budget every 2 years. Now they pulled that out.
Okay. Town facility repair fund. I mean, you could argue that one, but police cruiser, I think we need every year. Then going way down towards the bottom. Elementary school stabilization, elementary school reserve, OPEB, and free cash to reduce the tax rate. So those-
Stabilizations as well, or no?
No, no, I didn't put anything in for the
Okay.
two stabilization. Once we bring them back, then we got flexibility. We're not forced
Yeah,
every year.
okay.
So
And the reduce the tax levy is a percentage of,
1% of the year before.
The elementary school stabilization and reserves, those are supposed to be 75 each.
They are.
this is from the 4.03.
oh yeah, these are in the 50, aren't they?
There's 70.
No. So the new one, sorry, I have the new one, guys. I have the new one up. Look at mine. Look up on the
Okay.
screen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's too small.
Make it bigger. Tell them to make it bigger.
Amanda's gonna save us.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Guys, look at how many people wear glasses. Just Mike and I are the only ones. That's why I can't see it
I
either.
mean, I should have them. I mean, I need a.
Okay.
I got my hearing aids
Yeah,
too.
drive at night. I mean, I can get by.
I mean, if you probably just double click anywhere, it might just go to full screen.
I can get-
I only know that
That's
because I do
good,
it by
yeah.
accident many times a day.
All right. Makes sense? That makes sense to me, these,
I had another question, Amanda. On some of these that relate to the fire. I think we should or can consider taking out of the fire stabilization fund,
We are for one of them.
Yeah, the press.
like the fire engine frame replacement,
That's cash.
the next one down.
yeah,
Why shouldn't that come out of the,
We have put together an idea of our capital plan for the stabilization. So I feel like that's a conversation I'd probably say bring the chief.
but
in
we've
for
taken
that.
it out of the free cash. You know, to pay for fire articles, so you don't particularly have to balance that account per se. When we did the fire engine and the ambulance, we contributed significant from the town free cash.
Yes,
So-
but the ambulance is not an enterprise fund. It's not fully self-funded.
Oh, I understand that. So there's no reason that 15,000 can't come out of the ambulance stabilization fund.
I think what Amanda's saying is they have a plan to build up that fund for
I'm-
a
yeah.
for a large capital item in the future, right? I mean, it depends on what pocket you want to take it out of. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter, right? But
Yeah, and actually by
That's the last
vote.
thing you said was the most relevant.
Okay,
I think that that's a valid comment. I just think it's something I would probably bring the chief in for, because
Yeah.
we presented you guys that capital plan in the presentation she presents.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So I think that she's been open about what she plans to do with it, so bring her back into the conversation.
We should just get rid of that fund.
okay. The fire compressor and cylinder station, Mike, you're the liaison, aren't you?
So, yeah.
She was gonna,
Okay, so I'm the
get a
liaison.
grant or something
I
for
did
that.
talk to the chief about the warrant as it came out, and I said, look, here's, and she said she thinks she might not need the building,
right,
and she thinks there's an earmark for the compressor.
are we
So
gonna
it's-
know before we have to
I-
appropriate the funds?
I would be willing to take that and go to the bank with it, but all I do is typing it in as it was written in the warrant art.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in 3 weeks, so almost certainly we're not going to know, right?
Right.
right.
What about the building, Amanda? Do you know any update on that?
There's someone who may donate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because she mentioned it was 40 by 60.
Yeah.
And immediately I go cling, cling, cling. That's big enough also for the rail trail storage.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
plenty big for three bays, so you could solve all of
Right.
it.
So that's sort of sitting out there, but this was it was last week. I mean, it was last week that what Amanda said, as of last week, it hadn't changed
Yeah.
from that.
So let's say we appropriate it
Mhm.
and it's not needed because after the fact, we find out that they're getting it donated.
And get it
It's outstanding as an ATM warrant article, and then we can close that out, we can transfer it in the future, or.
Yeah, so if the project doesn't occur, I close it out.
Yeah.
If the project has occurred and it seems like they're done, I usually check in and be like, hey, is this done?
Right.
Can I close this out? Sometimes we'll reappropriate it at the next town meeting if it's
Right.
unspent. So you can either have it fall back to free cash or you can just reappropriate directly from the article.
So one of the things you mentioned, Dave, is maybe contingent on the sale of the building
Oh, absolutely.
for some of these.
Yeah,
right?
on the warrant articles.
Right.
The storage building
Yeah.
should be contingent on the final sale of the
Yeah.
10 School Street.
No.
Right.
It'd probably go through. But if it doesn't, for any reason,
Mhm.
then we don't appropriate the funds and it saves that
Yeah.
circular nonsense. You check before when do you go through and check any open warrants? I know one year you gave us all the information, it was interesting.
I do it that, like, pretty much when I'm creating the new warrants, I'll go through and I'll check them all with them. I do check them like midway through the year when we're going through this process to see if there's any that we're done with that we could reappropriate instead of using new free cash, just use what's in there. We did that with the trash, voters last year. We used like 48,000 from old funds.
Is that the usual mechanism at the special town meeting? You just reappropriated or transferred to?
It depends, like if it's a significant amount, if it's like 10,000 plus, then yeah, it makes sense to reappropriate it. A lot of the time, people, spend them down pretty much, and there's $500 left, they fall back, it falls
Yeah.
back to free cash at the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Some of these elementary school gym and mats, we didn't even talk about. That's for Proctor School, I think.
Yes.
It sounds like it makes a lot of sense, but I won't drag the meeting on any
No,
further.
I had the same thing, don't the old mats work, but
Yeah.
that was, yeah,
I might have notes on that.
but I'm not, that's.
Okay, we've already gone through all these as part of the warrant one when we talked about them. We'll go through them again. I don't want to use today just to randomly walk through them. Look at them, come back with your feedback, your thoughts, and when we walk the warrants later on, next week we will ask to do a conversation about free cash, a brief one. If you have specific ones, you can raise them as concerns and or discussion. And then when we walk the actual warrants, we can determine which ones we'll recommend and not recommend. Okay?
I had one other data request, Jay, we made a couple of weeks ago, and it's for Amanda. I think the request got lost. That was for information on the indemnity fund and unemployment. 10-year history on it.
I don't think that request made it to me.
No, you weren't here.
Is that something that, Cherry, is that something that the whole FinCom wants?
So tell me a little bit, I've refreshed my memory on this one. I apologize.
Yeah, there were 2 warrant articles to put free cash into
Yep.
the indemnity fund and the unemployment fund.
Yep. And we just want to see what the fund balances were.
Yeah, what the 10-year history was.
Yeah, what the fund balances were and the payouts and
In and out, right.
yeah, the in and outs for the past, not at an individual level, but at a annual level. Right.
Yes.
We don't need to see $150 out, 200, type. We need to see this year, this much out, this much in.
Absolutely correct.
How many?
And it's published in the annual report, but it's
Yeah.
just a year late.
10.
10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's very spiky. I think so.
Well, we only replenish it when it's basically
Yeah,
depleted,
no.
right?
Yeah.
So it's,
When Shay and I first joined the FinCom, there was one of these $40,000 that happened like 4 years in a row. There was, and that was paid for a police officer who'd gotten hit by a car.
Yeah.
And then that disappeared, and this is the first time since then this has popped up again.
So that's the indemnity, indemnity fund?
Yeah,
That covers what our insurance doesn't cover, is that what it? Okay.
yeah, so
Which is,
this
I
is
think,
the first time we've seen one since
30%.
that.
So we could still be
I'm
paying on
interested
that.
in the event, if there was an event.
it's for
Yeah. Yeah.
also for the police.
Yeah, so that's all, so that was,
We do have another fund that we didn't fund here, but it's a similar idea for compensated absences, which I started to bring up again because that can be used for when someone leaves, like that, instead of paying it through the operating
Yeah.
budget. We do have $100,000 there too.
yeah,
So
so that.
another one of those
That
accounts.
was the other one, so.
What's the unemployment fund? I'm used to industry, where you pay into
Right.
each year, it's just part of the paycheck this is something different, I think, different system.
yeah, it covers when we owe for unemployment for someone, we pull it from that fund. Instead of like an operating budget cost.
If we let somebody go, you mean?
Where they file.
Oh, if we let somebody go, we have to pay,
Mhm.
not the state.
I think the state pays some of it, and then we pay.
Yeah, it's
some of it.
confusing, because I know, in private industry, it's a state, I think, that funding everything. That's why I couldn't quite.
Funding what, the unemployment? Well, you fund it through your payroll taxes.
That's correct.
You already funded, whereas the state, whereas the town doesn't. You already funded as part of your payroll taxes. The
Absolutely.
business pays into that.
Right.
Yeah, I never got a refund on that in my career.
What I do know is that we had a credit hanging out in unemployment from COVID that we had been taking down over the last 5 years that we just recently finished using. So that's why you're seeing that go down now. For a while it was flat because we had a credit we were using and they just applied on the back end essentially.
So it's a different system than industry. Doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Anybody have any last words?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Wow, I shouldn't even finish.
All right.
Yeah.
No, quick enough.
Roll call vote. Mike,
I.
David,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Heidi. Was that an aye?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, she wants to stay.
Catherine,
Aye.
Che, aye. All have a great evening.